Hi, I'm Carrie. This is Saunders Sisterhood. This is a YouTube channel for the single and childless, not by choice person. Our video today is part of our Managing the Holidays series. The holidays are coming up. They seem to come up quicker and quicker every year. And if you are single or you don't have kids, sometimes the holidays can be an especially tricky time. Grief gets activated, otherness gets activated, all the stuff that goes with family gets activated. And so if you're feeling like you need a few extra tips or need to know that you're not alone in this, subscribe to Saunders Sisterhood. So our video is some things that I want you to remember this holiday season. Number one, you get a say in the activities that you do this holiday season. I think when you're the solo person amongst a larger family or even a smaller family, it can kind of sometimes feel like, well, there's only one of you and there's multiple people related to sister-in-law, brother-in-law, nieces and nephews, grandparents, all of those things. And so we're gonna make sure that everything works out with them, and your life is really flexible. I'm sure you can just make it work. You know, I think if you are able to extend some flexibility, I think that's generous. I think that's respectful. I think that makes sense. But it doesn't mean that you have to bend over backwards to do that, or that you end up spending your holidays doing things you don't want to do because you only get one vote, whereas this family over here gets 5 votes, right? So remember, you can say no to things. It's okay to have an opinion on how you spend the holidays, when you're meeting up, where you're meeting up, what day you're meeting up, what you're bringing, what somebody else is bringing, all of the things that go into planning. It's okay for you to have an opinion on that. Number 2, boundaries. There is a lot that could fall under boundaries, and I'm gonna talk about some things really more related to the holidays, but you get to have boundaries, you get to set your boundaries, and you get to do so in a way that feels like you are acknowledging that you are a grown adult also, and what you want matters. It's okay to say no to certain gatherings if it's going to be particularly triggering or particularly griefy, or you don't want to deal with the people who are there because they always ask you these certain questions, or the atmosphere is just going to make you feel like a total loser. Not that you should feel like a loser, but I'm going to be honest here. I think we all have situations in where it can feel like you're the only single person, you're the only person without kids, and you're wondering, why in the hell am I even here? I actually had to pay to come here. I had to take time away from my dog to come here. You get to say no to those things. You don't have to do everything. It is okay not to answer intrusive or disrespectful questions. It's okay to make that clear to people. And also, it's also okay to have some financial boundaries. If you can't afford to travel, if you can't afford to take the extra time off of work to travel, if you can't afford to buy gifts for everybody else in the family, it's okay to say that. It's okay not to do those things. It's okay to have a preference, because just because you're solo, it doesn't mean those things aren't also things that you need to consider. You know, maybe if you are the solo person in your family, maybe you only buy gifts for the kids. Maybe you only buy gifts for the kids under a certain age. Maybe you tell everybody, I'm not doing that, or whatever works, but you're allowed to readjust the expectations, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Set up a budget for yourself and then decide how you want to allocate those funds. You know what? If you're traveling, maybe you're spending less on gifts. If you aren't traveling, maybe you decide, you know what, gift giving is really fun for me. It's actually one of the things that I really enjoy doing. And so I want to spend a little more on that. Ultimately, whatever works for you, but it's okay for you to set the expectation, not others set them for you. It's because you don't have kids, so you must have money to travel, time to travel, it's easier for you, all of those things. The holidays are expensive for everybody, whether you have kids or you don't have kids. They're just expensive in different ways. And so it's okay if you want to talk about that as a family and consider what are the things that make sense for all of us. The next thing that I want you to remember this holiday season, if you're single and you don't have kids, is I want you to think about how you're gonna respond to intrusive, disrespectful, or really just annoying questions when you are around others. I have a video on this that I'll link below that gives some examples to some fairly common questions that we all get asked. Things to consider around this: decide the tone that you want to go into it with. Do you want to be blunt? Do you want to answer the questions? Do you want to ask somebody who's a supportive person around to, hey, go send out the message that I'm not interested in these questions, so please tell everyone not to ask me? Do you want to answer these questions differently based on who's asking? You know, maybe if great grandma is asking and maybe doesn't even think about it or mean anything by it, that might be a little bit different than if somebody who knows better is asking. Ultimately, you know what is best for you, and you get to decide how you're going to respond to those situations. Not your mother, not your sister, not your auntie. Nobody else gets to decide this. You get to decide this. They may have an opinion, they may tell you what their opinion is, and you get to decide if that's something you want to take in. You get to decide if it's not something you want to take in. My suggestion, though, is to make a plan. Think ahead and consider that there might be different dynamics where you need to shift your plan or shift your response in a way that feels like it is also authentic to you and really taking into account how you want to show up in these situations. Lastly, if verbalizing your needs, letting people know that they've crossed a line, and setting boundaries elicits a response from people where they tell you that you're being too sensitive, I was just asking, lighten up, it's not a big deal, geez, sensitive much? It's the holidays, why can't you just be happy? If they tell you those things and they project all of that onto you, here's what I want you to remember, and I want you to tell yourself like it's a mantra. Feelings are not facts. Their feelings are not facts. So those are some things I'd like you to remember this holiday season. Let me know what helps you in the comments below, and subscribe to Sonder Sisterhood for more videos for the single and childless, not by choice person.